Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to learn more about the Outdoor Recreation Division Special Projects and Infrastructure Fund. My name is Axie Navas, and I'm the director of the Outdoor Recreation Division, and I've had so much fun brainstorming about this project and working on it for the past several months. And one of my main teammates in doing that is our brand new project coordinator for the division, Alyssa. I'll hand it off to her for just a second to introduce herself to everyone, and then we'll get started.
Hi, everyone. For those of you that maybe haven't been in contact with yet, I am Alyssa Renwick, the new project coordinator with the Outdoor Recreation Division. I've been on board for right around a month now, and I look forward to partnering with all of you in the future and hopefully one day getting to meet you all in person.
Awesome. Thanks, Alyssa. Well, we are going to dive in. This is a one-on-one overview of how to apply to this brand new pilot program and this grant application that just launched a little while ago and is open to applications as we present. So we're going to give the 30,000-foot view, what the mission of the fund is, what we're intending to do with it, and then some of the eligible, ineligible requirements, and then Alyssa's going to dive into how to actually apply in our new grant application software. So that's the quick overview, and then at the end we're going to save time for questions. So please feel free to input questions right into this webinar. We'll be keeping an eye out on the list and answering questions once we wrap up. So the overview, the Special Projects and Outdoor Recreation Infrastructure Grant supports shovel-ready projects that directly enhance outdoor recreation access and opportunities in a community. And so we're very much focused on nature-based outdoor recreation with a regional focus. I'll say regional, that is going to be giving applications a leg up if they're taking a broad look at a community as a whole. So maybe it's a city and a county partnering together on a regional trail system that's actually uniting maybe existing pieces of trail with some new ones. River access that goes beyond just a single beach or a single community. Those are the types of projects that if you're applying for are going to score high. And really the goal is that we want to increase outdoor recreation access for as many people as we can. And we want to do it in a sustainable way with projects that are well thought out and very intentional. So they have a strategy behind them, both at the master plan level and then also a strategy to work within communities and a strategy for maintenance. So these areas are continuing to provide access for people for many, many years. So this grant is open to tribes, pueblos, counties, municipalities, and nonprofits. There is a 50% match requirement, and in-kind contributions do count. The grant awards that we'll be making are between $5,000 and $25,000, and you have until September 14th at the end of the business day to apply. And again, I want to take a minute to just talk about the mission and really home in on that message. We understand that these public lands, public waters are so foundational to our communities, and this grant is intended to invest in them and also sustainably grow access. So people know where to go. They're not degrading the natural resource, but they also have access right in their backyard. We want to grow opportunities to actually get out into the outdoors through this fund. And one other point that I'll bring up at the real macro level is the timing, I think, is very fortuitous for this. As many of you are probably aware, the Great American Outdoors Act just became law not too long ago. And one of the things that landmark conservation law does is fully and permanently fund the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And the LWCF is a huge source of outdoor recreation infrastructure funding for New Mexico. It has been historically, it's going to be even more so in the future because of the Great American Outdoors Act that our Senator Heinrich, worked on. So this is meant to complement such work, and I flag LWCF to say that's going to be a really, really key funding tool. And we at the state also want to be thinking crucially about how we can create pools of money, funding, investment opportunities to also grow access, as is the mission of the LWCF. So we'll go to the next slide. Eligible, ineligible. We'll get into the micro of this grant, a little bit more detail. So eligible, again, that emphasis on shovel-ready structures and other infrastructure that enhance public, nature-based outdoor recreation in a community. Design and engineering plans are eligible. They're eligible expenses, but I want to flag the timing component of this application. Projects must be complete within 24 months of awarding. And so if you're funding a design and engineering plan, it is an eligible expense, but we still want to see testimony and some evidence that the project can still be completed within 24 months. And again, emphasizing that regional approach. The trail that connects to a broader existing system will be weighed more heavily than one that just exists in a silo. So some eligible examples. What are we talking about when we talk about nature-based outdoor recreation? Trails, signage is a great one. Signage doesn't tend to be as expensive, obviously, and it's also so key to getting more people outside and maybe educating them on how to get outside. There's been quite a few conversations lately about responsible recreation and what it looks like to treat both our fellow outdoor recreationists with a lot of respect, as well as the natural resources. Signage can be a really great educational tool there, and that is a reason why it is eligible. River access, whitewater amenities, outdoor climbing walls, trailhead improvements, structures for nature or just general wildlife viewing, all of these are eligible. Ineligible, permitting costs are not, and that's in large part because we really want to stick with the shovel-ready nature of this grant, and then also that timeline, that 24 months. And if it's just lining up permitting and that's what this grant would be used for, it'd be really hard, we think, to get that done within 24 months. So that's ineligible. Land acquisition is ineligible. Developed indoor or traditional recreation sites, so like a water park or outdoor swimming pools, those we don't consider nature-based and are ineligible. And the same goes for other traditional rec facilities such as golf courses and soccer fields. Love that form of recreation. That's great. I'm a big soccer player myself, but those particular facilities are ineligible under this grant, and that's in large part because we want to emphasize that nature-based aspect of it. And then finally, camping or other infrastructure owned by a private business, that is also ineligible. We'll get into this in the application. You'll see this as an application question. But if you have to charge a fee to access this area, that doesn't necessarily make the project ineligible. There might be a fee required to maintain the trail system, the trailhead. We just want to make sure you're thinking through that and the strategy for the project, and that we see the justification in the application itself. But if the infrastructure is owned by a private for-profit business, then that would make those infrastructure improvements under this grant ineligible. Next slide. So how to apply? These are the main links that we point people to. There is the nmoutside.com website, which is the website of the Outdoor Recreation Division. And if you go to this hyperlink here, nmoutside.resources.com, you can review the entire program guide. So you'll find more details on what we're going over in that program guide, and it should be a helpful overview as you actually dive into the application. And even before you dive into the application, to check off boxes of whether your project is a good fit for this particular grant. And then we have the actual grant software. This is the online application where you apply to the grant. It's all through Amplifund. This is the link here at gotomygrants.com. We'll share this widely. We're going to be recording this, so you have all this as background, and you'll also find that link in the program guide. So those are the main resources we want to flag. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Alyssa to dive into that Amplifund platform in a little bit more detail.
So we're going to have a brief overview here. Like Axie said, if you've clicked on and investigated the online application at all, you'll notice that this is, when you click on that link, this is the site you'll be brought to, which is in the Amplifund software system. And so the first thing you'll need to do is click on that apply button in the top right corner. Once you do that, you'll be prompted to log in or to register. If you already have an Amplifund account, have applied for other grants through the system, you just simply log in using your existing account. I'm sure for many of you, you'll need to create one. So you'll just simply hit the register button at the bottom when this comes up. And then you'll be prompted to simply create an account. That first box to the far left is going to be the most important, where you'll enter your email address and create a password. And then the other two, you can see the asterisks in this. They're pretty simple. Really, first name and last name are all that are required, but obviously you're welcome and encouraged to put as much information in these as you would like. The same with organization. You really just need the name and the type, and again, your email address. If it's different, then your contact information. So the usual process here of just creating an account like you would for anything else, and then you just simply want to hit the green register button once you've completed all of this. And then you don't be alarmed. It'll send you back to the same page that you saw originally, and then you just want to go back to the top and hit apply. And then once you've done that, then you'll actually be taken to the application once you've created that account. So once you create an account, get into the application process, you'll see this kind of navigation bar will show up throughout the whole thing at the top. And this is just to make a note. You can see that there's different indications here. So just the small green dot shows you what current kind of tab you're on, part of the application you're in. A solid green means you've worked on it and you've saved that section. But you really want to aim, the goal is that you'll have all of them that are solid green with a check mark. As you can see here, that just indicates that that section has been completed. You can still go back to it and edit it, but that just lets you know that all the necessary information has been filled out, and that you can move on, and that you'll be able to submit then once all of these are solid green with a check mark. So most of the information is going to be housed in this application form. So as you can see, this navigation bar at the top, there will be a section for opportunity details and project information. These are just going to be some basic boxes you'll fill out. And then once you've done that, you'll be directed to these application forms in that navigation bar. And this is the actual screen you'll see, and you will need to go and click on where it says 2020 Special Projects and Outdoor Recreation Infrastructure Application. So once you click on that, it will take you to this application form. That will be the bulk of the application where you're entering and answering questions. And at the end of that form, you do have to mark it as complete. As you can see at the top of this green box here, application form must be marked as complete in order to successfully submit. If you don't hit that marked as complete button, as you can see in the bottom red box, it will just show up as in progress. So if for some reason you get to the end and it won't let you submit, this is likely one place to go back and check the status bar here, just to make sure that you did indeed mark it as complete. And if you didn't, then you can just get right back into it and do that, and then try to submit again. So again, keep an eye on your navigation bar as you're working on the application. The goal is for it to look like this example here, where everything you have is solid green with a check mark. I think just to be aware that once you hit submit, you cannot go back and change anything. So really make sure you're ready to submit before doing that. You can navigate through the application on this application bar. So you can go back and click project information or budget or application forms, and it'll direct you there to go back in and review or edit your information. So you can do that at any point throughout before you hit submit. And you'll know that you'll receive this message here at the bottom once you've successfully submitted. So it won't let you submit unless all the necessary information and required information is filled out. So this is just kind of a peace of mind message you'll get, knowing that it has officially been submitted. And then you'll see that little button there at the bottom as well, where you can download your finalized application. And so again, like Axie said, this webinar is being recorded, so you'll have these slides to go back and reference and go back and listen through kind of those little tidbits there on the application process. But of course, you're always welcome to reach out to me or to Axie if you run into any actual issues in the Amplifund system in the process of applying, and we're more than happy to help you troubleshoot. We've got great partners at Amplifund that can help us find an answer for you if we don't have one ourselves.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Alyssa. And hopefully it gets people a little bit more comfortable with the actual online platform that we'll be using. And the goal really is transparency, make this fair for everyone, and hopefully make it easy on your end, that it's not too onerous. And to echo what Alyssa said, we are here to answer questions. If you go into the application and something seems confusing, please use this contact information to reach out. And with that, I think we're gonna leave some time for questions, of which we have quite a few. That was one of our main goals of this webinar, is to make sure people had a conduit to chat with both Alyssa and I. So let's start with some focused ones on the Amplifund application itself. The first one, can you please define your budget categories, and where does the budget detail get uploaded to the application? So hopefully Alyssa's overview of Amplifund helps with that a little bit. As you can see, there is an actual page dedicated to the budget, and it's built right into the application. And Alyssa, actually, would you go back to the slide where it shows those circles and the categories in the application itself, and we can show folks what we're talking about here?
Yeah.
So you see, actually, I'll hand this off to you because you have more practice with the actual application, and just talk through the budget a little bit more.
Yeah, so when you get to this, this budget section is housed separately than kind of the rest of the application. Most of the other, like I said, the bulk of the questions and portion to fill out is going to be in that application form. But once you complete that, you'll be then directed to this budget section to fill out. And like Axie said, it's kind of there's a pre-populated kind of drop-down list. I think everything that you could possibly use in terms of equipment or personnel or need to fill out in your budget should be there. Again, if you don't feel like you can fill it out the way you want to, you can reach out to us and we can help you troubleshoot and work through that. But it's pretty straightforward in terms of you just use the drop-down list. And then again, I mean, that's about it. I mean, in terms of then you just make sure that it is required. You can see an asterisk there beside it in this navigation bar. So this should change to solid green and a check mark. Once you've filled it out, you are required to do that. So we have an idea of, obviously how you plan to spend the money that you're requesting. I'm not sure if that answers the question or not.
I think it does, and I would say to the folks who might need more help, again, please feel free to reach out. But I think the main point here is that there is a budget form. It's built right into the application itself, so you're not uploading a separate Excel sheet, and then the categories are intended to be broad and encompass the entire budget of the part of the project that you are submitting your application for. So another one, we are asked, is this only for New Mexico? And yes, the answer is that it is intended for New Mexican nonprofits, New Mexican tribes and pueblos, and New Mexican municipalities and counties. So we encourage, if there's some cross-state collaboration or maybe a cross-state regional approach, we're looking at regional approaches, and that would qualify as well, but it is intended for New Mexican applicants. So another question, we're looking at an expansion of outdoor team building units and outdoor classroom areas for a facility. It is a private space, but open to anyone who enrolls to encourage positive experiences outside. Sounds like a great program, and whether it is eligible or not really depends on the nature of the applicant. So again, this isn't an application that's open to private businesses. So if you are a nonprofit or local regional government, that is who is eligible to apply, and that it does have to be open and accessible, public to the community itself. Here's another one. That's a great question, and Melissa, I might kick this one to you. Is there a scoring criteria to help you determine which applications are awarded?
Yeah, so we do have scoring criteria. I mean, it's pretty simple that essentially each question is will be scored in the Amplifund system on a 0 to 2. Again, super basics, 0 to 2 scoring system for each question, even the short answers. So we will have an outside evaluation team outside of Axie and I that will be actually scoring each of these applications, and then we will obviously review the highest scored ones, and decisions will be made based on those highest scored applications. But in short, that scoring criteria is just, especially I think it's more helpful for the short answers, where 0 is basically you either you don't meet that criteria, or the answers, the answer that's provided, did it answer the question that was being asked? 1 is that maybe you kind of just meet the basic criteria and or provided basic information. And then 2 is, the answer, we got a really good, robust answer, fully answered. I think for the most part, we're really just looking for folks that, again, like Axie said a few times, we're looking at shovel-ready projects, so people that really have a good plan in place, I think is, and then, that you can relay that plan to us and show that these are things that are basically ready to go. So yeah, the better quality answers, we don't need pages and pages for each short answer. We kind of, I think, is more please don't do that. But yeah, just provide a good, thorough answer that really answers the question and shows that you have a plan in place and that you really thought through things. And will meet that kind of the highest scoring for each is only 2 possible points.
Okay, let's dive into the next question. You mentioned the funding can't be used to acquire land, so the project applicant must already own the land. The project applicant must show that they have access to the land, so potentially it's ownership, but it could also be an MOU or an MOA showing that they do indeed have access to the owner or to the manager of that land. So, one potential situation could be we have a nonprofit apply, they have a partnership with one of our federal land management agencies, and there's agreement there where they can work on a project on that land. We just need to see that access is guaranteed and that in fact, the applicant does have access, again, whether it's via ownership or some other collaboration, which we would then request documentation of, like be it letters of support or a more official memorandum of understanding or agreement. So another question about grant amounts. What is the average grant amount and when will these awards be announced and funds be available? So the average grant amount, this is the brand new pilot program, so we don't have an average amount, but we do have a range of what we're looking at. So the applications will be eligible for between $5,000, that's the floor, up to $25,000. It is a pilot, and so we anticipate making only a handful of awards. It's probably going to be competitive. It will be competitive. I think we know that already. And so the number of awards will likely be between 3 and 6. That's what we're looking at. So I'm not giving you an average, but that's the scope of what we're looking at. When will the awards be announced? So the deadline to apply is September 14th. how much time it takes us to go through them and how much time it takes for our external evaluators to go through them is a little bit dependent on how many applications we have. I'll give you some context. The Outdoor Equity Fund, which is the other grant program that we administer and whose grant cycle just closed, we had about 100 applications to that, and it takes about a week for the initial review and then about 3 weeks for our third-party evaluators to look at it, and then another week or so to come together and come to some consensus. So you're looking at just over a month. My guess is, and what we're aiming for here, is to make award announcements a month after it closes. So that's mid-October. And then we'll be starting to sign contracts with the awardees as soon as that wraps to give people as much time as possible to start using those funds. Okay, I'm just gonna scroll through here and see what other questions we have. So here's another one. How is shovel ready defined? If a small new trail connector project on BLM land does not yet have BLM approval, is it considered shovel ready? And in this case, I would say no, it's not considered shovel ready if that necessary permitting and approval process still needs to happen. And it sounds like in that case as well, the design and engineering would need to happen. There I flag that 24 months, that 24-month parameter, that once you are awarded the money, you have 24 months to complete the project. Now, if it's a regional trail system, that doesn't mean the entire regional trail system has to be complete in 24 months, but the trail that is articulated in the scope of the application, that's what needs to be completed within 24 months. Okay, do we have to show proof of matching funds up front in order to be considered? I can start this and then maybe Alyssa, I'll kick it off to you just to give a very quick overview of what it looks like in the application itself when it comes to actually listing partners and the amount that they've contributed. But we are asking, yes, for that 50-50 match, the 1-to-1 at the bare minimum. It does include in-kind, as we said, and yes, we are asking that applicants within the application testify to the fact that they have that money lined up and articulate from whom. And so, yeah, maybe Alyssa, do you want to explain a little bit more how it looks in the application to actually plug in some partners and what people can expect there?
Yeah, I think that, we're not asking for quote unquote proof, in any official terms. We have two sections. I mean, one, we asked you to show your partners, and you can upload an attachment in the application on that. So you can spell it out there. If you have within that list of partners, folks that are contributing to that match in kind or otherwise. And then there's also another question that specifically asked about the in-kind contributions, where again, you can, I mean, if it's easier to spell it out in the attachment, that's okay. If you're already listing your partners there and you want to attribute those in-kind contributions to each partner. But there is another question that asks where those in-kind, that match is coming from, and then a separate one that's, I know is required, asking the total amount of in-kind and the total amount you've raised or have on hand so far for your project. And like Axie said, I mean, 50% is is the minimum we're looking for. The more we can see that you have raised or have in terms of in-kind contributions with your partners, the more I think that demonstrates to us that this is kind of shovel ready and ready to go. So I will say that is something will help in your application. But 50% is the minimum, and your application is still going to be considered just the same if you are just meeting that 50%.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point in that it emphasizes regionality. It emphasizes that this project has community support We asked specifically about whether it appears in any municipal or countywide master plans. Is outdoor recreation specifically identified in the community's priorities? All of those pieces, and then of course combined with the actual budget and how much other funding you've been able to line up will help your application. And as we were saying earlier, we do anticipate this to be a competitive awarding process, because we don't have a lot of money to invest in this particular cycle, and we want to make sure that we are awarding the full ceiling amount of $25,000 to the projects that merit it. So another question about what types of infrastructure are eligible. Repeat photo monitoring tools that include installing picture posts, physical posts that enable repeat monitoring of public recreational spaces. Sorry, I might have butchered that question a little bit, but if the question is, are these projects and this type of infrastructure eligible? Equipment is indeed eligible, and I think that's the bucket under which this would fall. And we would be looking to the applicant to make a case on why this increases access, why it is being done in a sustainable way. And if the applicant can do that and clear that bar, then yes, I would say it is eligible. We're just looking for that broader picture and the context in which a project like that or equipment like that would be, where it would find itself located. Okay, I'm gonna keep scrolling and grab another question here. Okay, we are a private nonprofit on state-owned land. We want to install exploratory trails for kids with an enclosed fee-based area that is open to the public. Is this eligible? So nonprofit eligible on state-owned land. It's eligible so long as the applicant can show that they have access to that land in full partnership with the state agency that owns it. Exploratory trails for kids, that definitely qualifies. I think applicants will also score strongly if they have some sort of educational component that fits in really well with the broader outdoor recreation division mission. An enclosed fee-based area that's open to the public. Again, as we articulated, you'll see in the application, we ask specifically if there's a fee. If there is a fee, that doesn't make the project ineligible, depending on the applicant involved, but we do want to see a very careful consideration and explanation of why there is going to be a fee. Is it for maintenance? Is it a user fee so the area can be maintained or expanded on? We want to see applicants giving thought to pieces like that. So another question. Can funds be used to improve current recreation areas with more trees and/or landscaping? Yes, that is eligible. Again, you need to clear that bar where you're explaining how is this improving, growing, sustainable, I should say, outdoor recreation access to the area. And I think that naturescaping, the trees, bringing in gardening, all of that does that. Or it certainly can, but we do look to the applicant to explain, again, the context in which this project is found. How is the planting of trees helping this overall region? What's the mission here? But under our grant parameters, it's definitely eligible. Okay, this one. What are some examples of design projects and how are they considered shovel ready? Great question. So we had this conversation as we developed the grant program. We understand that design can be a big expense for applicants. We wanted to make it eligible. We did that intentionally. The reason we're still holding on to shovel ready again is that timeline. Projects, or at least the project that fits within the scope of the application, must be completed within 24 months of the grant awarding. And so that's how we're defining it. It's a project that's ready to go. Maybe most of the design is in place, or it's a small scale design project that can be done fairly quickly within that timeline. And if you can testify to that and show some evidence of that in your application, walk us through what you're thinking, then yes, it would be eligible, but you just have to keep those other parameters in mind. Okay, here's another one about the application itself. Alyssa, I'm gonna kick this to you as I scroll through the remaining questions here. I think we'll take just a couple more and then wrap up. This one, do you want letters of support or commitment from the entities providing cash or in-kind match? Alyssa, do you want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, sure. Again, we definitely have places within the application for some of these attachments. And I'd say if you have them, it's going to do nothing but, make your application better, just to attach them and include them. Again, like Axie said, the more we see that you have partners in place, partners that are contributing in kind or cash and or letters of support, that's just going to show to us, again, the shovel ready kind of nature of this, and that there is indeed a plan and support in place already. And again, it's going to do nothing but help your application in the process. So absolutely, if you have them, include them.
Okay. Can this be used with another project that is taking place? And the example given by the person asking the question is as with maybe the Rocky Mountain Youth Corps. So yes, definitely. I think that falls under, in many cases, the regional approach. If you can show that this project, this infrastructure project, is being done in tandem with another joint project, or there's another partnership going on that you can connect these two projects, these two initiatives, that should all make your application score higher. So I'd say if you could give us that broader picture whenever possible, how does this fit within the region's plan to grow outdoor recreation? That's kind of the gold standard that we're looking for. And certainly if it can be leveraged against another project taking place, that's a great way to do it. I think it's a great way to show a match potentially. It's a great way to show that regionality. And it's a great way to show that there's real support and energy behind such a project in the area that you're applying for. So is a multi-use path considered a trail, or does it have to be a nature type trail? I'll take a stab at that. I think multi-use, so I'm going to assume even if it's paved, so it's open to cyclists and pedestrians, potentially equestrians in some areas, that all qualifies. It doesn't have to be, what you might imagine in terms of a like beautiful national forest single track. It can definitely be a walking trail within cities, within a town that's used by multiple types of recreationists. So yes, it is eligible. We just want to see, again, that regional approach. How does it fit into the broader master plan of the area? And I'd say also we recognize that these access points within cities, within towns, are often the most key way, the most essential way many of us have to access outdoor recreation. So not only is it eligible, I think we encourage those types of applications so long as we're seeing the broader impact to access, and that this does have an impact to access, and it's helping more people get outside, in all sorts of activities that might appeal to them and that might call them out. So we will take two more questions. This one here, is the in-kind match restricted to non-federal? No, it's not. So if you have federal funds lined up, that would qualify. I believe there is a question a little bit farther down about capital outlay. If you have capital outlay funds, those would also qualify. So there's the potential to match other state funds. And certainly you can match private funds as well. We want to see that broad picture, but it's not restricted to non-federal. We're trying to be as open with that match requirement, both the cash match requirement, the in-kind cash match requirement as possible. Okay, I want to keep us on track, so we're going to try and wrap at about 2:45 and take one more question. Let me see here, just trying to speed read. So can you clarify the match requirement? Is it 1-to-1 or at least 50% of the total cost of the project? It's 1-to-1. So if you have an ask for $5,000 from the Special Projects and Outdoor Infrastructure Grant, then you must have at least 5,000 or the equivalent lined up in cash and or in kind. So 1-to-1 is the ratio we're looking at, and as the list articulated, that's the ceiling. If you can go higher than that and show that you've gone higher than that you already have more than that lined up, that's going to make your application score even higher. Okay, with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. Looks like there's a few more questions about how do you get more information. So again, I'll point folks back to this contact us slide, email one or both of us if we didn't answer your question today, or if you need more clarity. We will be posting this online, and then I also encourage everyone to go to our website, nmoutside.com, where you'll find both the resource guide, so the program overview under the resources page. You'll also find the link to the application itself, that online link, and really that's a good home base to find those key pieces of information. And really appreciate everyone tuning in today. We had some great attendance. Seems like there's really strong interest in this grant, and so we're really excited to work with many of you going forward. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I think that this could be a really powerful thing for recreation access in New Mexico. It starts here, I believe. We invest in these places that we love so much. We go access for all New Mexicans, young and old, and we start to grow on these places that matter so much to us. So with that, I think we are going to wrap. You know where to find both of us. And just thank you again for tuning in, and good luck with applications for everyone who's going to apply. We appreciate the interest. Take care. Bye.
Hey, everyone.